If weight loss feels harder after 50, it is not all in your head. What I've seen with women over 50 is that many are still working hard, still trying to be careful, and still doing their best. But the old advice they were taught just is not working the same way anymore. If you want to check the tools, meal resources, and support options I recommend, I've linked them below in the description. For a lot of women, this stage feels confusing. You may be eating less, trying to be disciplined, avoiding foods you enjoy, and still not seeing the kind of progress you expected. That can make it feel like your body is fighting you. But after working with women in this stage of life, one pattern comes up again and again. The issue usually is not lack of effort. The issue is that the strategy needs to change. In this video, I want to walk you through 5 low-carb tips that can make weight loss feel more realistic after 50. These are not extreme rules. They are practical shifts that can help you work with your body instead of against it. The first tip is to question old breakfast rules. Many women over 50 grew up hearing that breakfast was the most important meal of the day, and usually that meant a carb-heavy breakfast. Toast, cereal, pancakes, waffles, muffins, juice. That was presented as the healthy way to start the day. But one thing we understand much better now is that not everybody does well eating that way, especially if weight loss and appetite control are the goal. For some women, a lower carb breakfast works better. For others, eating a little later in the day feels more natural and leaves them feeling steadier instead of hungrier. You do not have to force yourself to eat early just because you were told that was the rule. That does not mean skipping breakfast is mandatory. It means you have permission to let go of outdated beliefs and pay attention to what actually helps you feel satisfied, energized, and in control. The second tip is to stop being afraid of healthy fats. This is a big mindset shift for many women over 50 because they spent years being told that fat was the problem. So even when they try low carb, they often still build meals in a way that feels sparse, unsatisfying, and hard to stick with. From experience, this is where most people struggle. They remove bread, sugar, or pasta, but they still do not replace those foods with meals that feel nourishing enough to carry them through the day. A better approach is to include satisfying foods that help you stay full. Things like eggs, salmon, olive oil, avocado, nuts, seeds, and full-fat foods that fit your overall plan can make a meal feel complete instead of restrictive. The goal is not to overload everything with fat. The goal is to create meals that keep you steady and reduce that constant feeling of looking for something else to eat. The third tip is to cut back on refined carbs first. When weight loss feels stuck, one of the most helpful places to start is not by trying to control everything. It is by identifying the foods that tend to drive the most cravings and the least satisfaction. Refined carbs are often a big part of that. Sugary snacks, white bread, crackers, chips, pastries, sweetened drinks, and highly processed convenience foods can make hunger feel more intense and more frequent. What I've seen with women over 50 is that they often do much better when they simplify this step. Instead of obsessing over every bite, they focus first on removing the most processed, carb-heavy foods that keep them on the hunger cravings roller coaster. That shift alone can make eating feel calmer and more manageable. The fourth tip is to cook at home more often. This does not have to mean complicated recipes or spending hours in the kitchen. It simply means creating more meals where you know what is in them. When you cook at home, you have more control over ingredients, oils, sauces, portions, and hidden sugars. That matters because many restaurant meals and packaged foods contain more sugar and more starch than people realize. Even very simple meals can work well. A protein source, some vegetables, and a satisfying fat can go a long way. It does not need to be fancy. It just needs to be consistent enough that it supports your goals. You can absolutely still eat out and enjoy your life, but if you feel like progress has stalled, cooking at home more often can help remove a lot of the guesswork. If you want help finding low-carb tools and resources that make this easier, I've linked them below in the description. The fifth tip is the one that brings everything together. Your mindset matters. After 50, your body may not respond to quick-fix strategies the way it once did. That does not mean you are failing. It means your body needs a more thoughtful approach now. One pattern that comes up again and again is that women often expect progress to happen quickly, and if it does not, they assume nothing is working. But sustainable weight loss after 50 is usually built through steady habits, better appetite control, improved energy, fewer cravings, and more consistency over time. That is why it is so important not to judge your progress only by speed. Another mindset shift is letting go of the idea that you have to suffer to succeed. You do not need to punish yourself. You do not need hours of exhausting exercise. You do not need to white-knuckle your way through the day feeling deprived. You need an approach that fits your hormones, your metabolism, your lifestyle, and your season of life. That is why low-carb eating can be so helpful for many women over 50 when it is done in a balanced, practical way. Not as an extreme identity, not as a rigid set of rules, but as a framework that helps reduce hunger, steady energy, and make healthy eating feel easier to maintain. So if weight loss has felt harder lately, here are the 5 reminders to keep in mind. You do not have to keep following outdated breakfast rules. You do not need to fear healthy fats. Start by reducing refined carbs. Cook at home more often when you can, and adjust your mindset with patience, not criticism. Because weight loss after 50 is different, but it is not hopeless. What I've seen with women over 50 is that when they stop fighting their body and start using a more supportive approach, things often begin to feel more doable again. If this video helped, let me know in the comments which one of these 5 changes feels most important for you right now.